to this computer. Okay, awesome. I just want to record this so I can share this with other people. So, anytime you list a house, you're going to need the listing input form and then the exclusive right to sell listing agreement. And so, if we get into utahrealestate.com, this is where I normally find the forms. So I go over to forms and just go to URE legacy forms. And where this is like your own home, you're still technically supposed to sign a listing agreement. But we'll just go over that real quick and then you can fill it all out. Um, but here's your exclusive right to sell listing agreement. And so that's one of the forms that you'll want. You go through here, you put in your name because you're the listing agent. Here's the seller, even though that's you. Terms of the listing, when the listing expires. And then in here, so seller's brokerage fee. So like normally what I would do on my listings is usually I do like a 1.99% listing fee and then a 4.95 transaction fee. And then if the seller brokerage, so if you and we'll just take this for example, if you're selling somebody else's house, right here you can put in. So if you find the buyer, then what's your percentage going to be? Usually I'll do like 0.5% more. So if I find an unrepresented buyer, I'll just charge them 0.5% more, and then I don't charge them any other type of transaction fee. If you're wanting to offer the buyer's broker a commission, that's where you put this in. So like if the seller's like, hey, we'll pay him a 2% or 2.5% or 3% or whatever, then that's where you put this in. I usually just put 0 and just have them initial here, and we just leave the buyer's agent fee completely negotiable. So and then the rest of the stuff is just kind of fill in the blank. And then you have them sign at the bottom. So that's like the exclusive right to sell listing agreement. That's one form. The second one is a listing input form. I'm going to show you how to make that and get your listing going at the same time. So you like kill two birds with one stone. Um, so let's see. Has your home's been on the MLS before, correct?
Yeah, it was when I bought it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So and I'm gonna record this and post it on YouTube. So if you ever need to go back to it, like you'll be able to pull it back up.
All right.
So let's go. So usually what I do first is if it's ever been in the MLS, I'll do a search. So I just go up to here, search, and do an address search. And then I just clear everything so it doesn't have any searches in there. What's the house number on that?
627
627. What's the street name?
Mead, Meade.
Okay. So let's see here. Okay, so here's the previous MLS listing. So what I do is I write down this MLS number, 1978655. And then usually what I'll do is just go into like a full report and print this and save this just because then that way I can refer back to it when I'm making our other listing. So I'll just save this real quick and then open it up over here and just keep it off the side. So now here's how you kill two birds with one stone. You create your listing and you get the listing input form ready so you can have people sign it. You go to my listings, create new listing, and then it's a residential home based on MLS number. So this is where that comes in handy. 1978655. And then click use existing tax ID information and then agent. So we'll do Connor, and you don't have to have a co-agent. And then listing name, just make it whatever so you'll know what it is. So we'll just do like Connor Mapleton Home and hit start listing. So a lot of this stuff will be pre-populated now, which is great. But we'll still have to come through and put some stuff in, but we'll go over that in a second. So do you know what price you're wanting to list it at yet, or do you still got to work on comps?
I haven't looked at it exactly, around 925, 920, something like that.
Okay, so we'll just put 920 in here. And again, you'll go redo this on your own, but this will just be a good thing. So that map, you just want to make sure the mapping's correct, which 90% of the time they are. That looks like that's the right house. And then you'll hit verify map. Sometimes it makes you do it twice. So just make sure the address is correct, street's correct. That all looks good. It's in Mapleton. Here's the school district that's already been filled in from the previous listing. Sometimes you'll want to double check that. But yeah, that one should be correct because all those schools look right. HOA information on the previous Emma listing, it said $35 a month. Is that still what it is, or do you know what the HOA
Yeah, I
is?
think it's the same. Yeah.
Okay. And then the HOA change fee, This is really handy to know. I don't know what it is, so you might have to call your HOA, but usually the owners can get that information. That's just like what the HOA transfer fee is when you sell it. And then and then it's always negotiable who pays it, buyer or sellers, but that's just something to know. And then HOA contact info, you can put that in there, put in the info of like, okay, any amenities that the HOA has. This one has a pool, which is awesome. I would put like the good stuff in the remarks here as well because that shows up on the MLS listing. And I don't think this one had HOA remarks, but that's yeah, up here. Oh, so it didn't have the remarks, but that's a good place to like put selling points of the HOA. That's a good place to do it. Having a pool is a big one. So I'd put that there. And really, you just go through and fill the rest of the stuff out. Like ADU, this one does not have an accessory dwelling unit, if I remember correctly. Pets are allowed.
Yeah.
Does this one have solar? It does have solar,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So
yeah.
you'll want to fill in this information on the solar panel stuff, which you'll know. Um, this parcel number is automatically filled in. So you just want to check it with the county to make sure it's correct. So like where this is in Utah, what I do is I just go to web access to land info. Usually it just pulls right up. We'll see if we can find okay, Utah County. So Utah County web access to land info. And then you can just do you can do an address search just to verify this stuff. So we'll go 627 Mead. And it shows, okay, so here's the address. Shows it's in your name. I'll move this out of the way here. And this is where I'll usually get the property taxes from too. So if you go to tax history, it'll show like, okay, last year's taxes were 3651. So that's where you'll just go in and put that in here, 3651. And really you just go through and just fill out all these boxes as best you can. And like the square footage, a lot of times the previous listing should be correct. But we always want to go in and double check those two. And if there's some discrepancy, then sometimes you like, okay, maybe we just need to get an appraisal ordered to verify that. I'll just put zeros in these other basement levels. But on this one, if I remember right, I thought the square footage was different than what the MLS said. But let me just go in here. So if you go back on this county website, you go into appraisal information, and I guess just so you know, the county recorder's office has been wrong in the past. So this one shows 1381 in the basement, so that's correct. And then the above grade square footage is 2962. So if you go 2962 divided by 2, that's probably 1481. So yeah, it looks like the square. Now, these two square footage levels might be different. It's probably closer to like the main level is probably closer to this basement, and the upstairs is usually bigger. But you can go through and mess with that. But the total square footage is correct. So we're at least on the right page there. So and yeah, basement's 100% finished. Effective data listing agreement. This is just when you're putting the listing in the MLS, you want this date to match. If you don't get it this like within 24 hours of when this is signed, the MLS will give you a fine. Expiration date, I usually put like 6 months out. Owner name, you'll just put your information in there. And the rest of this, just like listing type, exclusive right to sell. This isn't a short sell or foreclosure or anything, so none of those really apply. Possession possession means like when do they get keys? Usually I put on recording, unless we're needing to do some type of delayed lease back, then I'll just do negotiable.
Okay.
Um, and then agent, you're the agent, co-agent. We don't have one. You can type one in there if you want. But then here's all like just the listing. So type of air conditioning and amenities. You can go through and fill all these out, and you can refer back to the previous listing because it'll give you a lot of these are already checked from the previous listing. So
Okay.
and then you just fill out all these things. If you're willing to do so, the terms, like if you're willing to do a seller finance, then you want to check the seller finance box because that'll tell people what type of loans you're willing to mess with. This one
Yeah.
probably wouldn't go FHA, it'd go VA, but FHA just the price is too high. But you could do a seller finance deal. And so you just go down here, public remarks. This is where you just put this beautiful 7-bedroom, 3-bath house, blah, blah, blah. It's where you put all like the selling features in it. You can't have any of your contact information in here. And you can't have, if you are offering a buyer's agent commission, it can't be anywhere on this listing. So if they call you, you can tell them, but you can't post it anywhere. Agent remarks, that's where you can put like showing instructions, like, hey, there's tenants in the property. We need 24 hours notice, or text Connor for showings, stuff like that. And so once you fill all this out, then this is where you get your listing input form from. And this is how it kills two birds with one stone. So you hit print PDF and you download this. And now you have this turns into your listing input form. And so this gives you the other form that you need for your clients to sign. And it'll just have initials and date at the bottom of each page. And then the last page has a full signature. But that gives you your two forms. And then once you're ready, so like this is how you start the listing. You put in all that information and then you just start hitting next. And so like there's two empty fields, so we can go to this. We'll just put something in here because we're not really doing it, but we'll just mark these dates. If there's any fields, required fields, then you can't move forward, but those are there. So then you go in here. If you have like a floor plan thing, you can put in there. Then you put in your photos, upload all your photos there. If you're doing an open house, is where you can do your open house. Listing documents. Really, you can put your seller disclosures in here if you want to. You don't have to. The only other thing that might be required is if it's built prior to 1978, you have to have a lead-based paint disclosure signed, and that's where you upload that. It won't let you publish the listing without that being uploaded there. Showings, this is just saying, hey, yeah, I want to use aligned showings. I'd recommend that because then it just automates everything. And syndication, I can only change this stuff, but I have it all on, so it just syndicates everywhere. So we make sure the house gets the most exposure possible. And then verify and publish. So like once you get to this point and you're ready to go, the price looks right, the expiration date looks right, you hit publish to the MLS, that'll make it go live.
Okay.
So, but any questions on that? I know it's a super quick crash course. Go ahead and ask if you got any.
No, everything's pretty simple.
Okay. So yeah, but that gives you your two forms that you need to sign. So I'm actually going to save this right now if you're good with it. And then I'll just upload it to YouTube in my coaching plant program. And then that way, if you ever need it, you can just refer back to it and be like, okay, this is how I upload my listings. So
Awesome.
I have other videos, like if the listing's never been on the MLS, like how do you find out the square footage? Like you'll know the bedrooms, bathrooms because you walked through it, but how do you find out the square footage, acreage, who the owners are? I have another video like that on YouTube that goes over that. So feel free to refer to that. And then always, you can reach out to me if you got any questions. So,
Awesome.
okay.
Well, appreciate
Perfect. Okay. All right, man. Take care.
You too, bro.
We'll see ya.
Can you put the explain?